Welcome to DWBIADDA channel. Please subscribe for latest training videos.
Hi everyone, today we are going to discuss about Azure CDN. So Azure CDN is a content delivery network, is a global CDN solution for delivering high bandwidth content. It can be hosted in Azure or any other location. Within Azure CDN, you can catch a static object loaded from an Azure blob storage or a web application or a publicly accessed web server by using the closest point of presence. So if you have an web service running in the East US region and your end consumer is going to consume your website from a Southeast Asia, so then they can able to access their content from a closest point of presence. So Azure CDN is going to be catch the data into closest point of presence of the user. So in this tutorial, we'll be see how we can go and create a endpoint, a profiler, and how we can integrate the CDN with an storage account. So let me go into the portal.azure.com. So I'm here in the portal.azure.com. I'm going to click on the create resource icon over here and search for the CDN. And if you see that it give an overview page and it have a documentation, service overview, and a pricing details. So let me go into the pricing details. And if you see the pricing details of the CDN, so it will be giving for the first 10 TB per month is been less than $1. It is around 0.081 per GB. So it is much cheaper than an Azure app service or an Azure storage. So if you have a storage account and a CDN, so then it will be getting a much cheaper plan over here for your static website. So let me go and create the first CDN. So I'll be naming this CDN as my first CDN. And you need a valid subscription, and I'm going to create the resource group, a new resource group as CDNRG. So CDNRG is already been taken, so I'll be taking CDNRG1 as my new resource group. And I'm going to create this CDN profile in my East US location. And if you see the pricing tier here, Microsoft will provide a third-party CDN as well. If you see the standard Verizon account is there, or a standard Akami or a premium Verizon account. So I'm going for a standard Microsoft plan. And while creating a CDN profile, you can go and create the CDN endpoint as well. So I'll be going to create the CDN endpoint after creating a CDN profile. So let me go and create this CDN profile. So it is validating my what all the details I provide, and it is going to create my CDN profile. So if you see my CDN profile is been created successfully. So let me go into the resource group and let me check for the CDN RG1 is the resource group we have provided. So let me go into the resource group. I can see my CDN profile has been created successfully. So let me go into the CDN profile. And if you see my status of my CDN profile is being active. And if you see there is right now there is no endpoint, I can go and add an endpoint. An endpoint is nothing but your CDN endpoint that going to be communicate with your backend. A backend may be your storage account or an app service or a custom domain. So let me go and add an endpoint here. So I'm going to name this as my first CDN endpoint. It will be valid. This domain name will be available. Yeah, it's available. And you can go and select the origin type. So the origin type, as we say that we can go and select the origin as from storage or a cloud service or a web app or a custom domain. So in my case, I'm going to select the storage. So in that, in the origin host, if your subscription need to have a valid storage account. So in that, my case, I have a valid storage account. I'm going to select the storage account. Or if you're going to select an web app, then you can go and select the origin host, any of the app service. So in this case, I'm going for the storage account, and I'm going to select the storage account and the storage account endpoint. So let me go and select this storage account endpoint. So let me go and select this. And if you see that you can restrict this CDN endpoint with only HTTPS or HTTP, you can, if you want to restrict your CDN endpoint to use only HTTPS, you can go and disable this option. So in my case, I will be going with the both option and just go and add this endpoint. And if you see that my endpoint is going to be created now, and if you see my endpoint is created successfully, if I go to my resource group and I'll be going to refresh this resource group, so it's not yet reflected. Let me go one step back and come into the resource group again. So now I can see a CDN endpoint and a CDN profile inside my resource group. So let me go into this CDN endpoint. And if you see that my CDN endpoint is in having a global presence, and it's have two endpoints. One is an origin host and an endpoint to access your CDN. So let me go into this CDN endpoint. And if you say that the request URL is invalid because I don't have a static content in my storage account, and this is my backend URL, which is nothing but my storage account. And if you see that it is support for the HTTP and HTTPS protocol here. And let's see what are all the options here in the CDN endpoint. So you can go and add an origin. You can go and change the origin later on if you want to change the origin from one storage account to a web app or a cloud app or a custom origin. You can go and change it on later on. And you can go and add your custom domain. And if you see here in the endpoint, it is using an Azure Edge.net is a domain actually. So you can go and add your custom domain here by bringing your custom domain. And you can do the caching rules over here. So if I go into the caching rule, you can ignore the query strings, or if you want to catch every unique URL, then you can go and catch. So you can add some rules over here and you can go and save it. So it will be going to set the caching rule. And you can go and do the geo filtering. So let this save first. So in the geo filtering, if you want to restrict your access of your CDN, then you can go and do that. So if you either you want to allow or a block. So if you want to block this CDN from a particular country, then you can go and select the country. So you can go and select the country. So your CDN will not be going to be catch in that particular region or a country. So you can go and set that as well. And you can go and add some rule engine. So let me go into the rule engine option here. So you can go and add n number of rules. You can provide a rule name and you can add a condition over there like HTTP version or a request cookie or a query string, and you can specify the action like catch exception or URL redirection or a catch key query strings, right? Or you can lock this CDN so that you can't able to accidentally delete this CDN. So if you put a lock over there, so there you can't able to accidentally delete this CDN. And you in the monitoring, you can go and view the diagnostics and logs over here. So that you can go and archive that diagnostics and logs in your storage account or an event hub or send to a log analytics. So that's all about this Azure CDN. So we'll discuss about more Azure service in the upcoming video. Thank you.